I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume if you're watching this video, you're considering making a move to the Chicagoland area and you're just not sure which suburb to choose. So I figured today what I would do is break down 4 Chicago suburbs that I find my clients are writing a lot of offers in, and when they ultimately end up moving there, what they love about these suburbs so much. Really quick before we jump in, I am Jimmy Zitnik. I help young professionals make informed decisions when it comes to buying and selling real estate here in the Chicagoland area. So if you're watching this and you find that you do need some help, whether it's now, in the future, sometime down the road, regardless, I'm gonna throw my contact information up on the screen here. It'll also be in the description. So again, if you have questions, need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. All right, let's just start rolling with suburb number 1 here. We've got Arlington Heights. This is the closest suburb on our list today from the city of Chicago. It is roughly 27 miles to the city of Chicago. Now you have 2, what I would say are of the best options when it comes to getting there. You can either, 1, hop on the Metro. There is actually a metro station right in the heart of downtown Arlington Heights. That ride is roughly 50 minutes from Arlington Heights to the city. You can also drive. However, I will be very honest, welcome to any big city in this country. Chicago comes with traffic, so you might find that it takes 45 minutes to get there one day, maybe it's an hour and 15 minutes the next. Regardless, you can get there via car pretty easily. It's only 27 miles. It really just depends, again, on the time of day, what's going on, how you drive, which route you take, a lot of variables. Now, aside from the location with Arlington Heights, something I hear a ton is that the overall lifestyle or the feeling you get in Arlington Heights is, you know, you're close to the city. You can feel a lot of the modern trends kind of creeping its way into Arlington Heights. There's a lot to do. They'll block off the streets. They're always throwing events. There's tents. There's great outdoor eating areas. There's awesome bars. Some of my favorites are going to be Passero. It's a really good Italian joint. Salsa 17, they've got really, really good Mexican food. Cortland's Garage, it's sort of a sports bar type of feel. Peggy Canane's Irish Pub, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, but nonetheless, those are some of my favorite hot spots in the downtown area. Regardless, there's a lot to do at night, always something going on during the day, especially in the summer when Chicago and its suburbs are the absolute best place in the world to be. There's always something going on, you'll never be bored, and you're close enough to the city where if you do decide you want to go to that Bears game, or you do decide you want to go to a concert, you know, downtown, all you do is jump on the train, you take that, you know, quick drive, and you're there in a heartbeat. Honestly, Arlington Heights, the downtown area, overall location, things to do is really, really, really great. Now let's talk about the real estate, the cost of living, and what you can expect to spend when you're looking for a house, or if you decide that Arlington Heights is something that would be a good fit for you. At the time of filming this, the median price point over the last 12 months in Arlington Heights is sitting at $425,000. Now, at that number, you can expect probably about a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, roughly 2,000 square feet. You might get a little bit more if it needs some work, or a little bit less if it's turnkey. Gonna be probably on about a 1/4-acre lot. But what I love about Arlington Heights is that there is seriously something for everybody. You've got a lot of condos, a lot of townhomes in the downtown area, or if you venture out, you've got some properties with acreage that are pushing $1 million, some even up to $2 million. There is seriously so much variety in Arlington Heights. It's something I love about it. Not everything is the same. You walk down the street, you see a ton of different styles of living, and I think that's been a big draw, is that there is something for everybody at every budget in that town. Okay, our next 3 suburbs are going to be a little bit further than Arlington Heights from the city. Suburb number 2 is going to be Barrington, Illinois, sitting at about 43 miles from downtown Chicago. Same thing as Arlington Heights. You've got 2 really good ways of getting there. You've got 1, the train. The train from Barrington is roughly about an hour and 5 minutes, depending on the time of day that you leave. If you decide to drive, same principles going to apply with Arlington Heights. There's traffic in Chicago. However, you're a little bit further when you're in Barrington, so I would expect anywhere from an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, just depending on what's going on. Now, in terms of what you can expect the vibe, I guess you could say, to be in Barrington from people I've met or have sold homes to that live here, it is definitely a little bit slower in terms of pace and lifestyle and some of the noise in Barrington, as opposed to something like Arlington Heights. Not to say Arlington Heights is noisy, but Barrington is definitely a more laid back lifestyle. And what I have found is that a lot of families moving from out of state, or maybe it's from the city, are looking for a higher end home with phenomenal schools. Maybe they're starting their family, maybe they have younger kids, and they're really looking to plant roots. I think that's what I would tie Barrington to, is a great place for people to come, and I find a lot of people that buy homes here stay here. Now, that is because Barrington is so great. There are things to do, maybe not quite as much nightlife or, crazy bars or crazy things like that to go to, but Barrington has a really strong sense of community. They always have some sort of events going on. And according to niche.com, that's a great website I use for a lot of the data I use in these videos, is the Barrington High School District is ranked 12th for the suburbs of Chicago. We've got a ton of different high schools. Barrington does sit in the top 15. It's a phenomenal location. You're still close to the city. You've got great schools, some higher end homes. Now, of course, you can find condos and townhomes and things of that nature, but a ton of different possibility, and we'll go over that in a second. But Barrington, a little bit more luxurious, a little bit higher end when it comes to the suburbs, specifically Northwest, but Barrington is one of the nicest suburbs in the entire state. Jumping into that topic of the real estate here in Barrington, at the time of filming, the median price point over the last 12 months is at $589,000. So you're looking at about $165,000 more than our last suburb, Arlington Heights. However, that's for a reason. What you will find here in Barrington is an even larger mix of properties than what you might see in Arlington Heights. You've got $300,000 condos, all the way up to, there have been sales in Barrington pushing $10 million. Barrington can be known for large estates. There's a large horseback riding community here. A lot of people have horses, they have acreage, there's farms. There's also a lot of villages in Barrington. You've got Barrington Hills, South Barrington, Lake Barrington. There's so many different forms for Barrington, if that's what you want to call it. But nonetheless, for that $589,000, what you can expect is about a 4-bedroom, probably 2.5, again, if it's a 2-story home, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, roughly 2,300 square feet. So overall, Barrington is one of the most desired suburbs in the Chicagoland area. You've got super easy access to the city, you've got some higher end homes, and you've got one of the best school districts in the suburbs and probably the state. I mean, this is really a place that people are coming to, staying here for a while, and most of the time people leaving here are making a retirement move. They are moving out of state, or maybe they're buying that second house in Florida and they're only here in the summers because, again, Chicago's the best place to be in the summer in the world. But nonetheless, Barrington overall a really great place to live. Let's jump to our next suburb. First 2 suburbs, we were northwest of the city. Now we're heading west. Our 3rd suburb is going to be St. Charles, Illinois. St. Charles sits about 45 miles west of the city of Chicago. And truth be told, probably the biggest negative when it comes to St. Charles is there is no easy way to get to the city. St. Charles does not have their own train station. If you want to take the train, you need to drive to Geneva, which, depending on where you're at, can be 10 to 20 minutes away. So you've got to drive to their train station, then hop on the train, and that train ride is roughly about an hour and 10 minutes to the city. If you want to drive, again, there's really no easy way to get there. There's not easy interstate access from St. Charles. Granted, it is in a beautiful location, but if you want to drive to the city, you're basically heading straight east, and you're driving for at least an hour, and again, good old traffic could take up to an hour and a half, just depending on what time of day. So even though it is a little bit difficult to get to the city from St. Charles is absolutely on fire. People seem to be flocking to St. Charles, and there's a really good reason. One being the sense of community. There's so many things to do, always events going on, lovely downtown area in St. Charles. It's, again, probably one of my favorites after Arlington Heights. Arlington Heights is really great, but St. Charles has kind of that slower feel, like a Barrington. I'd say it's a little bit more fast-paced than Barrington, but what St. Charles has is incredible dining, a ton of entertainment, and it's also kind of a 2-for-1 because downtown Geneva, if you're not familiar, St. Charles, Batavia, and Geneva make up what are called the Tri-Cities. There are three phenomenal towns west of Chicago, and when you live in St. Charles, you kind of belong to that whole Tri-Cities community. You get to enjoy Geneva, you get to enjoy Batavia, and all three of those places, again, some of my favorite dining in the suburbs, bar none. Some of my favorite bars to go to, hang out with friends. There's seriously so much to do in St. Charles. You've also got the Fox River. That is a river that runs through a majority of this state. And the Fox River also offers a ton of fun things to do. You might be able to go boating, you might go fishing. A lot of outdoor activities here in St. Charles, and overall, really, really, really great place to be. Every time people move there, I hear nothing but great things. Truly, people love the downtown St. Charles area. They love the community. They love that there's things to do. Cost of living in St. Charles is pretty straightforward. The median price point right now, and this is a big draw for people, is you get all of the great things that St. Charles has to offer, and the median price point is only sitting at $454,000. At that price, you can expect to get a 4-bed, 2-bath, probably about 2,300 square feet, sitting on anywhere. Now, St. Charles isn't quite as generous when it comes to the lot sizes as you might see in Barrington. You're also spending a lot less. So your lot size in St. Charles is probably going to be about 1/4 of an acre, maybe 4/10 of an acre, depending on where you are. If you get a little bit further away from that downtown area into some more rural areas in St. Charles. But nonetheless, that lot size, about 1/4 acre at that budget. The fourth and final suburb we're going to cover today is actually, it's close to me. I was essentially born and raised in this suburb, and that is Crystal Lake, Illinois. Now, Crystal Lake, Illinois is the furthest of the bunch from the city, but similar to St. Charles, people seem to be flocking there, and there is a great reason. Crystal Lake, if you want to get to the city, is about 49 miles from downtown. And there are actually 2 train stations, 2 metro stations in Crystal Lake. There's sort of a separate one, it's called Pingree. People use it, but the main train station is going to be in downtown Crystal Lake. And if you want to drive there, you're looking at about 1 hour and 15 to, I'll be honest, probably sometimes 2 hours if traffic is really bad. It takes a little bit to get to the interstate from Crystal Lake, and from there the interstate can be, very, very congested when it comes to traffic. The train ride isn't too bad. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes from the heart of Crystal Lake to the heart of downtown. So again, 2 very, very viable options when it comes to getting there. What I will say is that Crystal Lake is a really, really great place to be if you do not need the city. And what I mean by that is if you do not need to commute for work, or if you do not need to be down there for whatever reason, it might be every weekend or a few times during the week, then Crystal Lake is going to be a really, really great spot because you can still get to the city. Sure, it's not always the easiest, but you can still get there. If you need to go every day, don't move to Crystal Lake. It's probably just not going to be your best bet, but regardless, it's still a really good location, a great suburb. So let's jump into it. When it comes to the lifestyle you can sort of expect in Crystal Lake and things you can expect to see, Crystal Lake is growing very, very fast. And the downtown area, yes, there are things to do, great restaurants, there's some fun bars, there's, cute little shops in that downtown area, but not quite what you will get in a St. Charles or an Arlington Heights. I'll just be very, very transparent with that. Not quite as much to do, but it still does exist. It's not like you're going to be in the middle of nowhere. Crystal Lake is, what I really, really loved growing up there was it's such an outdoor activity town. I mean, there are parks, there are bike paths, there are walking trails, there are ponds and lakes to fish in, what seems like everywhere. And something, a recent development there has been the 3 Oaks Recreation Area. They've got zip lines for water skiing and great fishing. And overall, Crystal Lake kind of has that suburban, I don't want to use the words, country living, but it's got a lot of outdoor things to do, and I know that can be a draw for a lot of people. Again, if you don't need the city, Crystal Lake can be an awesome, awesome spot to be close enough to where, hey, you know what, if I want to go to the best city in the country, I can, but I also don't need to be there. It's there if I need it, but I don't. So I'm going to enjoy some quiet living, some more space, and of course, some more affordable living. The most affordable out of the 4 groups, or the 4 suburbs rather, that we've talked about today. There are some benefits to being further from Chicago. Of course, being further means you're going to pay a little bit less. At the time of filming this, the median price point in Crystal Lake is $375,000. However, I'm going to jump in. I'm very, very well versed in Crystal Lake real estate. That's where I grew up. It's where I lived pretty much my entire life. I would realistically expect to spend probably $400,000 in Crystal Lake. That $400,000 is going to get you a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. If you got a ranch, you might have 2 bathrooms instead, but you're going to get a little bit more square footage than you might in a St. Charles or in Arlington Heights, and definitely more than you will in a Barrington at that price point. You can expect to get, I'd say, 26 to 2,800 square feet on 3/10 of an acre in Crystal Lake. So that was my short breakdown for 4 very, very popular suburbs that I've been getting a lot of questions about, clients writing offers in, again, living in and enjoying these suburbs. So 4 very different, very unique, but ultimately very, very great suburbs that you could choose from here in Illinois. I will take a deeper dive into some suburbs in the future, but wanted to keep this video fairly short. So if you have any questions, you need anything at all, real estate related or not, you just have questions about great restaurants, great places to go to in the suburbs of Chicago, maybe you're making your move here and you just want to hear about some other suburbs, please feel free to reach out. Again, I will put my contact information up again. It is also in the description. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, stay a while, and you might learn a thing or two. Bye.